G'day YouTube, Max Wright. Is now a good time to buy Bitcoin? We're going to answer that question right here in this video. By the end of the video, you'll have a great idea. And even better than that, hopefully you'll understand the decision-making process. So even if you're watching this video a month or two from now, you'll be able to answer that question for yourself. Also, should we be getting into Bitcoin or altcoins right now? Very interesting development in the charts. I'm going to share all that with you. So if you are a Bitcoin investor, cryptocurrency investor, or you want to be one of those things, this is the channel to subscribe to. Go ahead and hit that subscribe like. That would be awesome. All right, let's get into this. We see Bitcoin having a little bit of movement here, so it's going to be a fun thing to look at. Now, I had a lot of questions regarding my very last video. Right up here, 3 days ago, this is the daily chart looking about 3 days ago, I made a video and I talked about when you're looking to invest, you need a good entry point. It's all about your entry point. Now, what is the definition of an entry point? A good entry point. A good entry point is when if you think, there's a couple scenarios here that's going to happen. It's either going to be this or it's going to be that. They're the likely things. And what you want to do is where if it could even be 50-50. Like, I don't know which way it's going to go. It's just going to be 50-50. But if it goes this way, then I think it's going to be that good. And if it goes against me, I'll be able to find out very, very quickly and be able to get out of that trade and just suffer a small loss. That's the definition in a very verbose way. That's what we're looking for at a good entry point. So we just had a fantastic entry point, and I want to show you what we're talking about, right? So let's come in. Let's bring the chart in nice and tight. And well, we can see this candle. This is today's candle, right? We've obviously had an explosion. My question for you guys is, did you catch this trend line? This one right here. Let me take it, I'm going to take it off. I'll come back here and we'll show let's say the 2-hour chart instead of the daily. All right. So let's bring it back. Long term, we can see Bitcoin is, between this line and this line. I might need to go further back for you to see it all, but it's been in this channel, right? It's staying above this line, staying below this line. You'll recall, we go back here and I identified this trend line here. I think it's moved a little bit, but this trend line here, it was a little bit higher. This trend line here. And when it broke out, I was right here with you this day. It happened at a nice convenient time. I was right here with you and I told you we just had a breakout. Here is a great entry point because we just broke through this trend line. And so we can say, listen, if it breaks through this trend line, it's a good chance we're going to head up, right? And if it's not, if it comes back down below this trend line, I can get out. So what I can do is if it comes back this way, I was proved wrong, sell my position, close my position, and eat a small loss. If it goes up, I'm going to make all of this. So it was a high reward, low risk trade. Okay? Now I made a video over about here documenting that and telling you about we're looking for entry points. Well, we just had another one. Now it's a relatively small one, by the way. But we just had one. Did you guys learn from those videos and catch this trend line? See, we had 1, 2, almost 3, 4, 5 touches on this trend line. Last night at about midnight my time, we broke through this right here. And I was tempted to get up and make a video and I was like, it's midnight, not enough people will watch it, so I didn't. But right here we broke through. So what we can do, what we had the opportunity to do this morning, if you were watching it around midnight, Sunday night midnight, is we can create our trade right here. So let's do this. Let's put it in, and let's say, here's the time. Okay, so the price is here. We've broken through the trend line, and we were right here, and we think we're going to go higher. Where higher? We'll come to that in a minute. The most important part is the stop loss. The question is, if we are proved wrong, what if it just goes up? And let me show you here. See how it jumped up, turned around, and came straight back down? Here was another, even though the trend line wasn't quite established yet, but that would have been another good place for an entry point. But you would have lost because you would have gone up a little bit, come straight back down, and just below the trend line, you could have closed out your position and eaten that small loss. So let's come over here and see how that would have played out right here. There's a good entry point. We've broken through our trend line. We don't need to wait for it to come all the way down here to find out if we were wrong. We could probably put our stop loss somewhere around here, right? And see, okay, that might be a good spot for us to get out because we're going to go back below the trend line by a good margin and we can just piece out of this trade and eat our small loss. But what are our upside targets? All right, and this is where the final piece of the puzzle. So we know where we're buying at, we know where we're putting our stop loss, and what are reasonable assumptions. Let's zoom our chart out a little bit here, and we're still on the 2 hour. I'm going to change this to the 4 hour actually, and say, okay, yeah, where's a good point for us to say we can expect the price to go to there and that's it? Well, one reasonable thing would be it comes all the way back up to this trend line. That would be a something, because it almost came down and touched this trend line. And in fact, we've got a new trend line developed here. Check out this trend line. This is the uptrend right here. Here, 1, 2, 3, 4. And this broke out right here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 touches on this trend line operating inside the larger channel trend line. Okay? So we could say that, that's kind of interesting to note that that's there. We could even move our stop loss up in the future and follow that line up. But let's go back to, we're trying to find out where would we choose our point to max this out at. And maybe we could say it's going to go all the way back up to this trend line, right? Let's say investigate that. Let's say our target, when we get it to, here's where we're going to sell. That's where we think we're going to get to, okay? All right, let's bring this in here and see our whole graph. And you can say, and right here it tells us with this tool, the risk-reward ratio is 9.47, which is outstanding. 10 to 1, that is outstanding. Meaning, we don't need to be right 100% of the time. We don't even need to be right 50% of the time. We don't even need to be right 20% of the time. We can be wrong to 80% of the time. And if you're choosing entry points where you have this huge potential upside, and you'll know if you're wrong very quickly and can get out, you can be wrong 80% of the time and still be profitable. Because when you win 9.47 times more than you lose, right? Now, that was just an example. Are we going to go all the way up to this trend line? Not sure. Let's just take a look around this chart a little bit more, see if we can see some other trend lines. And this trend line kind of gave us a little bit of a clue, I think, because very, very often they come in parallels. So, in fact, if we extend this one out, we'll see we got a few touches here. So here was our line. We had 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touches, 4 touches. We'll see we've also got 5 touch, 6 touch, and all the way down here, 7 touch, right? So that's a pretty interesting trend line. Let's copy and paste this guy. Very often they happen in parallel and usually gives us a clue as to the other side of the range. Let's see. And we can put something right here and we can see 1 touch, 2 touch. You can see it was support there and eventually broke through. When it broke through, it crashed down. So actually it was support in there. So where we 1, 2, 3, and then it was resistance here, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is a little powerful channel inside of the broader channel, right? So maybe we're saying, okay, it's not going to go all the way up to this trend line. Maybe we're just in the inner channel. Let's extend this line out to say there and bring this target down to here. And now our risk reward ratio is 6.69. Still an excellent risk reward ratio. So that's the concept of entry point. So I hope, and stick with this channel. I'll teach you this kind of stuff. And it's just, there's a great comment that I really want to share with you. So in the comments below on one of the previous videos, a gentleman wrote, he said, listen, I've been watching your videos. I just don't see the trend lines like you see the trend lines. And there was a very good and kind person who responded to him and said, dude, you just got to stick with it. He used to be, he was quality control at a car manufacturer, I believe. His job was to look at a car door coming off the assembly line. He said, I got there, I was supposed to look for imperfections. I looked at the damn door for an hour, I couldn't see anything. My manager shows up and goes, here, 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 and here, right? He said, but after about 3 weeks, all of a sudden I look at the door and in 2 seconds I can see 5 imperfections. It's just something you train your eyes to do. So just stick with it. Keep looking at charts, keep watching this channel and other channels, and you will start to pick it up very, very quickly. And I can tell you, if you don't understand this concept of the entry points, of understanding the entry point, waiting for a good entry point, you're gonna get hosed. I can almost guarantee it. Now that is if you're a trader. If you're a long-term investor, it really doesn't matter. When Bitcoin's $100,000, $1 million, 2, 5, 10 years from now, right? It doesn't matter if you paid 19,000, 16,000, or 10,000 per Bitcoin. It doesn't matter. You won't care. But if you're a trader and you want to be going in and out, the number one thing you need to look for is be looking for a good entry point. So I hope that kind of helps here with that understanding. Now it wasn't, I will say this, as you get good at this and you spend more time doing it, there's like, you give these entry points weightings. Is it an amazing entry point or is it just a mediocre entry point? Last night, I didn't even get up to do the trade. I saw this breakout. I was just like, yeah, it's not the strongest one in the world. I didn't love it, but I saw the breakout. I knew we were going to go up a little bit, but this target up here and this target up here, they're a little bit ambitious and a little bit weak. I don't know. This could stall out at 16.5. That was the other one because it was a previous high over here. And so this candle hasn't even closed. This could get rejected and come back down from that 16.5 level, which happened just the other day. What are we on a 4-hour chart? So something about 3-4 days ago, right here. So this wasn't, I would say, the strongest entry point in the world, but it was a very, very cool tool. So let me know in the comments below. Did you learn a lot? Let me know. Okay, next, I want to move on to something else. Another question I wanted to help you guys answer today. Do we want to be in Bitcoin? Do you want to be in altcoins? What's happening? Well, very, very interesting development in the Bitcoin dominance chart. Let's kick over to that. And let's head back to my daily charts here. Zooming out, zooming out, zooming out. So for quite a while, the Bitcoin dominance has been running in this channel, right? And this trend line is a strong trend line. We kissed here, we kissed here, we kissed here, we kissed here. There was a downtrend and Bitcoin dominance was unable to break through, right? Bringing into the last few days. We spiked through and came straight back down. No man, not putting up with that one. But look at what has happened here. We broke through, we came back and held it as support. And now we're climbing back up. This could be a monster sign that Bitcoin, remember I said, we're either going to come up and hit this line and come back down, or we're going to figure out a way to break through and break through. Right now, it's looking, I want to wait a few days for confirmation, but it's looking like Bitcoin dominance has broken through that channel and it will be very, very interesting to see where that goes. Also, worth note, it's a very interesting time of the year. Typically in December, there's a lot of people doing things that for tax purposes. So their behavior changes. It's like I need to realize a loss right now. And even if, look, I'm a long-term believer in Bitcoin, but let's say I bought it at $20,000 and I could sell it right now and realize a loss and then buy it straight back in on, well, the next day. But I realized a loss and now that helps my tax situation. Right? So at this time of year, the behavior of people change and things do different things and wild things and the charts start to look a little bit different. So that's important to know and important to think about, okay? But right now we're seeing the Bitcoin dominance has broken through. It appears to have held this as support. I want to wait a little bit to get confirmation of this, and this could be an indication that the altcoin season will have to wait, which by the way is it's something that happens usually around January, December, around January. It's usually the first quarter of the year that those kinds of things can happen. So that would kind of mesh in nicely with those two pieces of information. All right, guys, hope that was helpful. Go ahead, like, subscribe. Remember, if you want to learn about charting, if you want to be a Bitcoin investor, if you want to be a Bitcoin trader, if you want to understand it, this is the channel for you. Go ahead, click subscribe, like, and let me know if you saw that entry point and whether or not you took advantage of it. I would love to hear. I'll see you guys soon.